Environmental Stewardship and Advocacy. Environmental stewardship refers to the responsible management and protection of natural resources to ensure the health and sustainability of ecosystems for future generations. Indigenous communities worldwide have long been at the forefront of environmental protection, using traditional ecological knowledge, sustainable land management practices, and advocacy efforts to protect and restore natural landscapes. This lesson explores Indigenous land stewardship practices, Indigenous-led environmental movements, and lessons from traditional sustainable land management. Indigenous land stewardship practices. Indigenous land stewardship is based on holistic, long-term approaches that recognize the interconnectedness of all living things. These practices are often guided by deep spiritual, cultural, and ecological relationships with the land. Traditional ecological knowledge and conservation. Traditional ecological knowledge refers to the deep understanding of ecosystems that Indigenous peoples have developed over thousands of years. It includes observation and adaptation. Indigenous communities continuously observe environmental changes and adjust their land use accordingly. Sustainable harvesting. Resources are used in a way that ensures renewal. Example, rotational hunting, selective harvesting. Cultural laws and customs. Many Indigenous nations have rules against over-extraction and enforce them through oral traditions and governance systems. Examples of tech in conservation. Fire management in Australia. Aboriginal Australians use controlled burns, fire stick farming, to reduce wildfire risks and regenerate vegetation. Agroforestry in the Amazon. Indigenous groups like the Kayapo maintain diverse food forests, mimicking natural ecosystems to sustain both biodiversity and local communities. Wetland management in North America. The Coast Salish and other Pacific Northwest Indigenous groups use clam gardens, rock-walled beach terraces to enhance shellfish populations and protect shores from erosion. Why tech matters. Modern environmental science increasingly recognizes the value of tech. Governments, conservationists, and researchers collaborate with Indigenous communities to integrate tech into land and wildlife management policies. Indigenous-led environmental protection movements. Indigenous activists, organizations, and communities have led global environmental movements to protect forests, rivers, and biodiversity from destructive industries. Key Indigenous-led movements. Standing Rock Sioux Movement, USA, 2016. Protested the Dakota Access Pipeline to protect sacred water sources. Amazon Rainforest Protection, Brazil, ongoing. Indigenous leaders like Nimote Nenquimo, the Warani people, fight against deforestation and illegal mining. Great Bear Rainforest Agreement, Canada, 2016. First Nations secured permanent protection for 6.4 million hectares of old-growth forest. Strategies used in Indigenous advocacy. Legal action. Indigenous groups use treaties, land rights claims, and court cases to prevent environmental destruction. Direct action and protests. Many movements involve peaceful resistance to protect sacred lands and ecosystems. Collaboration with global organizations. Indigenous leaders work with NGOs and international bodies like the United Nations to advocate for climate action. These movements highlight the central role of Indigenous leadership in global conservation efforts. Lessons from sustainable land management practices. Indigenous land management offers long-term solutions for restoring ecosystems, improving soil health, and promoting biodiversity. Sustainable agriculture and agroecology. Indigenous agricultural techniques often prioritize soil regeneration, biodiversity, and water conservation. Examples of sustainable indigenous agriculture: Three Sisters farming, North America. The Haudenosaunee Iroquois grow corn, beans, and squash together to create a mutually beneficial system. Corn provides a structure for beans to climb. Beans enrich the soil with nitrogen. Squash leaves shade the ground, reducing evaporation. Chinampas, floating gardens, Mexico. The Aztecs developed an advanced method of wetland farming by constructing floating gardens on lakes, improving water retention and soil fertility. Agroforestry, Amazon and Southeast Asia. Indigenous peoples plant food forests with layered crops that mimic natural ecosystems, avoiding monoculture farming. These methods show how food production and environmental conservation can coexist. Water and forest stewardship. Indigenous communities have long protected water and forests through customary laws and conservation practices. Indigenous-led water and forest conservation. Maori, Kitanga, New Zealand. Maori guardianship principles emphasize protecting rivers, oceans, and forests as living ancestors. Example: the Wanganui River was legally granted personhood status, ensuring its protection. Boreal Forest Protection Canada. Indigenous-led initiatives manage the world's largest intact forest, protecting caribou, wolves, and over 1.5 billion birds. Sacred forests, Africa and India. Many indigenous groups maintain sacred groves that serve as biodiversity hotspots and spiritual sites. Regenerative land stewardship and climate resilience. Indigenous land management practices not only conserve ecosystems, but also help mitigate climate change. Key climate resilience practices: restoring grasslands with bison, North America. The return of bison helps regenerate prairie ecosystems by naturally aerating soil and promoting plant growth. Mangrove reforestation, Southeast Asia and Pacific Islands. Indigenous communities plant mangroves to protect coastlines from storms and erosion. Drought-resistant farming, Africa. Indigenous agroecological knowledge helps adapt to climate change by using drought-resistant crops and rainwater harvesting techniques. These examples highlight how Indigenous knowledge provides solutions for environmental restoration and climate adaptation. Conclusion: environmental stewardship is deeply rooted in Indigenous traditions, blending ecological knowledge, sustainable land management, and advocacy to protect nature. Key takeaways: traditional ecological knowledge, tech, provides essential insights for conservation and climate resilience. Indigenous-led movements protect land, water, and biodiversity from environmental destruction. Sustainable land and water management show how humans can live in balance with nature. By learning from and supporting Indigenous environmental stewardship, we can work toward a healthier, more sustainable planet.